Applesun Bushcraft with you again. Today we're going to show you our survival kit, and this is just one of several that we have, made from the ubiquitous Altoids tin. First thing you'll notice is we have it wrapped in a plastic bag that provides a certain amount of waterproof capability. A couple rubber bands on the outside. Good for fire starting, good for tourniquets on the fingers, good for all kinds of things. And a Ziploc bag can be used for a number of purposes. We're looking at utility here for the four major things we want to provide for water, shelter or protection, food, and rescue. This one happens to be a glow-in-the-dark rubber band, so there's even more utility with that. A couple of more big ones. Could go around a wrist, perhaps up to a forearm, help shut off some venous bleeding. I wouldn't say arterial, but venous bleeding anyway. So there we have about 5 of them. And here's the tin. Now on the inside, we have another rubber band holding things down. And the first thing we'll take a look at here is the lid. Taped inside are a couple of pretty standard bandages, adhesive bandages, 3 fish hooks, and about 8 or 10 standard regular matches. There's a striker under there that you can't see. Those things are all taped in there. If you needed to, you could pull all this stuff out and use that shiny lid for signaling. There's some knuckle bandages, a couple of those. First aid, safety. A couple of alcohol pads, same thing. Hydrocortisone cream, really handy if you get into something that makes you itch. Something you're allergic to. I wouldn't necessarily say poison ivy, poison oak, or poison sumac, but just some pollen or something that makes your skin itchy. A lot of times you get sweaty and run into some dust on plant leaves or some pollen in the air and you start getting hives. This can help with that. A couple of water purification tablets. These could go with that. This holds about 1 liter of water or so, so one of these tablets in there work pretty good. There's a couple of naproxen sodium under the brand name Aleve. That's for pain relief, minor pain. There's a little section of a drinking straw. This one expands a little bit, as you can see. You can get down into some water with that. Might have collected in the hollow of a rock or something and drink it if you had to. There's some lifeboat matches and a really strong Ranger band style rubber band wrapped around those. There's 5 of them there. Again, there's a striker in the kit. Signaling, fire starting. A couple of big safety pins. A lot of times we see these little baby safety pins. These ones are pretty stout and they have quite a bit of utility for repairs or joining things together. Conceivably, if you were macho man, you could conceivably close a pretty good sized wound with these. It would hurt, but they would work. Wouldn't recommend it though. Here we have a cheap Charlie pocket knife. This would be an adjunct to any knife you should have on your belt or a bigger knife in your pocket. This one's made in China. I don't know how strong it would be, but it's sharp enough to cut line, cut twine, cut vines, make some cordage out of bark and cut that, and then the tip here is sharp enough to open up a fish. So there's a little bit of utility with that. I'd not recommend carrying that as my only knife, but it's just an extra one. This next one is fishing line. There's probably 30 or 40 feet of that, 10-pound test spider wire fishing line. Lots of utility there. These are a couple of tinder tabs. They look like marshmallows, but they're actually tinder tabs, and I think they're cotton soaked with paraffin. They work pretty good. You can fray them out some and then they'll catch a spark from fire steel, and they burn for 4 or 5 minutes and can make a pretty good fire. You can cut them into pieces and actually get, say you cut them into 4 pieces each, there you have 8 attempts to start a fire with those 2. There's a little miniature flashlight. It has an on and off switch, and you can just push and let go as well. So the on switch will leave it on all the time, and then you can just push on the switch for signaling, for reading at night, finding your way short distances on the trail. You could probably see 10 or 12 feet ahead of you with this without too much trouble. This is a little instant towelette. Add a little bit of water, about a teaspoon of water, and it turns into a towel about so big. Washcloth or a towel. Could use it for a bandage if you wanted to. Lots of utility there. Those of you who like MREs will recognize this. This is chewing gum. 2 pieces, comes from an MRE. And so those are in there for morale and a little bit of a sugar boost. This is about 20 feet of dental floss, maybe 25. This is the strongest cordage I've ever come across that is anywhere near this diameter or this size. It's several times stronger than that fishing line. I haven't ever been able to break this stuff in 2 by pulling on it. One of these days I'm going to conduct a little experiment and hoist up a 30-pound dumbbell that I have and see if it'll pick it up. I have a feeling that it will. Good for tying things together, good for suturing if it came to that, good for fishing if it came to that. All kinds of uses for dental floss. It's very strong. Highly recommended in an emergency kit. To supplement the fish hooks, we have a couple of sinkers. Whoa, there they go. A couple of sinkers. A little hotel style sewing kit. There's a needle and thread in there, a couple of buttons, and a small safety pin. It comes pre-wrapped in cellophane. Everybody's favorite aluminum foil. This is about 2 square feet. Can be used for reflecting fire, for cooking, for making a base for a fire so it doesn't get wet on the ground. All kinds of uses for that. Signaling, you name it. Let your imagination run wild. Here's a striker for the stormproof matches. This actually came off the box that they came in. And they're really no good without that, by the way. They might as well be toothpicks. A couple of birthday candles. These are the joke variety that you blow them out and they start up again because they've got a little gunpowder in the fuses. And that's pretty good because if wind comes up and a puff of wind blows them out, they start up again all by themselves, so you don't have to use another match. There's another piece of striker for the matches, so we have that covered a couple times. A couple of big paper clips. Never know when those come in handy. And these are Reuben sandwich or club sandwich size toothpicks with the little end on the end of them. Good for what they're intended for and some other purposes as well. So that's just kind of a basic kit. I might take this with me fishing, although if I were fishing and I didn't lose hold of my tackle box and drop it or it somehow got separated from me, I don't think I would need the fish hooks in the line. But I have the means of starting a fire there, means of purifying some water, means of signaling, means of potentially self-defense. Although this isn't much of a self-defense knife, it potentially could be used for that in a pinch. Could lash it to a stick to create a spear. Not much of one, but it'd be better than nothing. Could potentially spear a fish with that or something if you had to, or a turtle, a snake, you name it. So the object is just be creative, figure out what you might need on the trail, and put it in there. And my challenge now is going to be get all this back in there because it was pretty tough to pack in there in the first place. So there you have it. One man's Altoids based emergency kit. I've made several of these out of bigger tins and gave one to my wife, gave one to my nephew for Christmas. I have one of them in my car, have another one in my getaway bag, and then this one goes in my fishing tackle box. So thanks for watching.